Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back for another Mandolin Mornings, and yeah, I'm excited to be with you guys. Sorry for the early edition this morning. We're about 30 minutes early. Looks like we got about 20 folks on, though, and I'm so glad you guys are with me here this morning. We're going to be talking mandolin. We're going to be picking some tunes together, catching up. There's been a lot going on. First up, you might notice it looks a little bit different in here, right? It took us about 3 months since getting this house to finally get our office and studio sorted, but I think everything's just about in place. In that closet over there, we've got a little recording booth that's somewhat soundproof with some fairy lights around, make it all look pretty. So yeah, can sweat from the heat of the bulbs in there while you're singing or playing and tracking. And here is kind of like just the main area. We got a little reading corner over there. Got the Apidia schematic finally hung up in the corner back there. Really cool stuff. If you haven't seen it, check out Oliver Appidius' website. He sells those posters on his website as well. Really great. And then we got this little mandolin shrine behind us here. I finally finished making these bookshelves. I still have a little bit of the stain on my hands, so it might be a bit sticky playing this morning. But yeah, just kind of, I don't know, built these shelves in the corner here because I wanted to. And that's my old flat iron mandolin hanging up there in the background. I don't know if you guys have seen that one in the past. I used to play that one as my main instrument back in the day. Still love picking it up from time to time and trying it out. Still sounds great. It's one of those Gibson made flat irons that they made back, I think maybe like 1999, 2000, 2001, something like that. So it's got actually a Gibson Master model stamp on the inside. Made in Nashville, Tennessee. So it was after they were making them in the Montana factory. I think it was linked to Bruce Weber, the flat irons that they were making before they moved to Nashville. So it's after that era, but it's still a great mandolin, and I love playing it. It has a really good kind of Gibson vintage sound almost, even though it's only like 20 years old or so. But yeah, and play more mandolin. Little light box back there, little daily inspiration for me to pick up my mandolin, keep playing. So we got that going on. Let me know what you think in the comments here. Like, check out the live chat here on YouTube if you want to let me know what you think, if you have any ideas for any other additions. I've actually got a whole nother bigger shelf here on the side wall here that I'll be using for another backdrop for different videos in the future, and you can be expecting a lot more stuff coming to you from this room, I should say. Got some more videos in the works here now that we've finished up our beginner lesson series, and maybe that's a good segue to come over here to our mandolin weekly segment and catch up. Oops, there's nothing to catch up on. Now let me get you this window here real quick. Oops, well, I guess there isn't anything to catch up on here. For some reason there's a malfunction here with my my streaming software. Let me double check. Oops, not that frame. There we go. Cool. First up, the Modern Mandolin Online Workshop. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's actually happening this November, early November, so just a couple weeks away. And I'm really excited to be on staff for this event and just to be able to be a part of this amazing mandolin gathering, because there's so many people going to be here. There's faculty spanning from all different generations, which I think is really cool. We got younger folks like Jacob Jolliffe, Maddie Whitler, Casey Campbell, Dominic Leslie. Tristan Scroggins will also be playing a concert, which is going to be awesome. And then I'm excited to be teaching too, alongside folks like Matt Flinner, and Mike Marshall is going to be a special guest lecturer. I also am excited to get to play some music with Tabitha. We'll be doing a kind of a duo concert as part of the workshop this weekend, or not this weekend, I should say, a couple weekends from now. And then you also get concerts from Eva Holdbrook too, which I think is going to be great. She's incredible. And it's pretty cheap considering it's a weekend of stacked faculty, and also it's kind of a unique spin on a mandolin workshop where it's designed by professional mandolin players. I was actually really excited to get to participate in the planning process for this event, and to kind of help shape the class material and the topics that are covered, and select all the faculty. And it's just going to be really fun because we're going to talk about things that you may not encounter at your regular old mandolin workshop. We're going to do some deep dives into a lot of technique, a lot of theory, and a lot of aspects and angles that you may not have thought of on the mandolin before. And it's only $250, but if you sign up with the promo code Benedict15, that's my last name, Benedict with a capital B, you'll be able to get 15% off. So be sure to check that out. I think it'll be well worth the tuition costs. It's going to be a lot of fun. So there's the Modern Mandolin online workshop. Be sure to check that out. And then also there's been a lot going on over on the Patreon page. If you've been following along, we actually just finished up our 17-part beginner lesson series, which has been a project kind of a long time coming in the works, and been slowly kind of editing and finishing out the all the video lessons to go along with this 50-page companion beginner method book that I published a couple months ago. So all those lessons are now out and available, open to the public over here on the YouTube channel. And if you want to get all the backing tracks that go along with these 12 tunes that we learned, there's 3 different speeds for each song, and kind of a full bluegrass old time band accompaniment for each one as well, which really happy to offer. And then also there's the transcription and tablature and notation, as well as written instructions for all the lessons that we encountered. Exercises, scales, a little bit of music theory here and there, chords, all sorts of stuff. Just a big kind of blanket introduction to get you started on the mandolin. And I've been so happy with the response. I'm glad people are checking it out, and hopefully starting off a brand new journey with the mandolin, because it's such a fun instrument to get started on, because the community around it is just really special, and I'm excited just to get to be a small part of that. Also, we posted a recommended listening playlist that you can find over on Patreon as well. Just some of my favorite mandolin players, because kind of in the last lesson I just posted a few days ago, I was talking about how important it is to listen to other mandolin players. It's really I don't know, it's an underrated aspect that I often overlook. I often forget about listening because I'm so busy doing other stuff. Like I think I should probably be practicing, or I should be, doing stuff for the YouTube channel or whatever, and I often forget just to sit down and focus on listening, because it's one of the best ways you can continue to get better, continue to expand your mind on how to progress, how to, think of new things, how to try out stuff that other players are doing and learn from them. Transcribing is kind of an aspect of listening too. Like if you listen with your mandolin in hand and try to figure out what's going on those recordings as you listen, that's another way of doing it too. So check out the recommended listening playlist here, and I also have on that companion book, if you haven't found it already, in the very back there's a 3-page discography list that lists out a bunch of my favorite records from different players and different styles over the past few decades, even to go dig deep and to try to familiarize yourself with a lot of amazing mandolin recorded work. So basically that's just what's been happening on Mandolin Weekly. Let's come and catch up here. Well, for some reason I'm not getting any comments. My apologies if they're not coming through. Feel free to shout out if you want to say hey, if you want to suggest any tunes to check out during our jam here this morning. And I know we started a bit early, so we'll take it easy as we get warmed up, and as more people kind of come in from the Patreon page. But maybe to start things off, I'd love to pick through a tune, one of my favorite tunes here, one that we looked at earlier this year. Maybe we could check out Big Scioto together and just get a little bit warmed up as more people come in here. Well, if you know this one, it's in the key of G, not G sharp, G major. And there's 4 chords that go along with this one, right? I like using those open chords, the G, D, G at the beginning there. And then as you get on through the A section, we have a C chord on the second measure of that second line. Your D chord, back to G, right? then for the B section, we have another chord. On the last line, we have an E minor, right? To a G, a D back to a G, right? So if you want to go through the chord progression once, the A section is G, D, G, G, D, G. Then to the C chord, D, then back to the G at the end of the A. And then the B section's cool too because I talked about this in the lesson that we looked at for this one here, but I like how the chords are kind of offset by a measure almost. You know, you have one measure of G here. You'd expect maybe to play for two measures or to keep changing every measure for new chords. But here we have one measure of G and then two measures of D before having two measures of C, one measure of E minor, one measure of D, then back to G. When I first learned this, I found that was really hard to get my head around because the chords were changing in such unusual places. But some people don't have trouble with that, and if that's no problem for you, then that's great. Take it as it comes here. But why don't we try playing through this together, and we'll just kind of go back and forth like we usually do. I'll start things off, and then I'll play some chords to back you up while you take a solo or try playing the melody. Feel free to branch out, do some different stuff if you want to. I know I wrote a solo for this one that I shared over on the Patreon page. If you've been working on that, it'd be a good opportunity to try playing along and seeing how it goes. So let's try this out. So maybe around this tempo. Your go. All right, my turn. Your turn again. again. Let's try this melody together. Iota, nice work, folks. Let's come in and catch up here. Well, I'm still not getting any over on the live chat. Let me double check, make sure everything's coming through all right. Hope you guys are doing well. It's been, oh, there we go. Ah, I see. You guys have been here all along. I've just been all oblivious to it all. So it's good to catch up here. Dan's Tunes here. Lucy, what's up, Lucy? So good to hear from you. Mary Felton, California. Jolene, what's up, Jolene? It's from Kansas. I was just there not too long ago. And what's up, Matt? Heidi, Bluebird123. Oh, cool. See, Bluebird123 is asking about the intro music that I was playing. That's from a record called Each by Side that I mentioned earlier. And that's one that I recorded a while back. It was right after college, I think, and it was with a good friend of mine from Chattanooga, Michael Moore. Not the film director, but a great fingerstyle guitar player, flat picker in the Chattanooga area. And yeah, it was we recorded with some different mics for that one. I think that may have affected the tone for that mandolin. I was actually playing this flat iron here in the background for that record, and I think at the time I was probably using Blue Chips. I was using Blue Chip, maybe CT55 or TAD 50 maybe, and I think it was with some ribbon microphones that gave it kind of like a mid-range effect, which was kind of a different choice for that record. And I think it worked pretty well on a few tunes. There may have been a few tunes that was a little bit kind of fuzzy or a little bit muffled sounding, but kind of had almost like a vintage sound, which I thought was fun for like a duo record doing some kind of different music. But yeah, good question. What's up, Laura? Roll Tide, Bama. I've not been to Alabama recently. I need to come back and play. There's a really cool place. Was it Moonlight on the Mountain? Is that right? There's a really fun venue up there on the ridge in Birmingham. I hope you're doing well out there. That's awesome. Chris, could you show a few licks you like? Okay, yeah. Maybe we could look at that together. That's a good idea. So licks, if anyone's unfamiliar with that term, that's just kind of a phrase that gets generalized for, I don't know, it's just like any small melody that you can throw into a certain place to have a certain effect, I guess. Could you have any vaguer response in that? No, a lick, I don't know, like when you think about mandolin licks, most of them are kind of centered in bluegrass vernacular. It's probably like different than a lick you might experience on the electric guitar or in rock music or anything like that. And a lot of licks kind of centered in bluegrass around that chop chord shape. So when I find myself playing like really traditional bluegrass or in a tough key up the neck, like maybe B major or something like that, I'll often will play like a lick centered around that B major chop chord. So I might do something like this. That's like a pretty classic standard sounding lick that's not too difficult, right? Have you tried that one? Starting off with my middle finger on the 7th fret of the E string on that B note. And again, it looks tough, you know, because it's playing up the neck. It's kind of unfamiliar territory in B major, but it's all just kind of intersected with this chop chord, all those notes. I'm playing 7, 6 on the E string, and then I'm doing 9, the 9th fret with my ring finger on the A string, 7, 5, 6, 9. Again, the fret numbers are 7, 5, 9, 7, 5, 6, and then 9 on the D string. So hopefully you can see like those 3 notes that you have on your B major chop chord right there with these 3 fingers are kind of anchors for that whole lick, right? And the cool thing is that you can move that lick to any chop chord shape you want to. And kind of the name of the game is if you know what chord is being played at a given time. Like if you're in the key of B major, you can play that lick over the 1 chord, over your B chord, anytime you want to. And it's a really short and fast and dirty lick that you can just throw in there, and it sounds pretty nice. You know, it sounds bluegrassy and bluesy and pretty authentic, right? But let's say you're in the key of B still and you come across the 4 chord, right? You come across like an E chord, which is, you know, the chop chord that's next up towards the ceiling, if that makes sense. You just move your B chord up 1 string to your G, D, and A strings now. So now you have a 3-finger shape, but you can still play that same lick, right? Now you're playing it over an E chord, right? So same fret numbers even. So it'd be 7, 5, 9, 7, 5, 6, and then 9. And anytime you're playing over that 4 chord in this key of B, that lick's gonna work pretty well too, right? Same idea, like if you're playing the 5 chord, the last major chord in the key of B, just move that E chord shape 2 frets up, and then voila. Now you can play the exact same spacing, the exact same fingerings on those strings you played for the E major lick, but now you're playing that lick over an F sharp chord. So the fret numbers here are different, right? It would be 9, 7, 11, 9, 7, 8, and then 11 on the G string. But honestly, I'm not really thinking about the fret numbers. I'm not thinking about the notes. Goodness knows, I'm not thinking about the notes for those licks. I'm mostly just thinking about the shape and how it intersects with those chop chords. I've played those chop chords so much, and they just become kind of second nature after a while. And they're much like chords too. Well, these licks, I should say, and how they correspond to a chord progression. So like even if you're playing like Big Sciota again, you know, you have G, C, and D, where you could play this same lick over it. Like you could do something like you could throw that lick in over your G major chop chord while that G chord is kind of prominent, you know, while you're playing over that G major chord. And then when you get to the C chord right after that, you could play like a shortened lick of that C major version there, and then play the quick D lick, play the quick G lick, and voila, you've got kind of a copy and paste solo that doesn't sound terrible. It doesn't sound super creative or original, but it sounds like it fits with the chord progression, which I really love. So when I think about licks, that's what's going on in my head, is like, what can I do to play over the chord changes, not just necessarily have a lick that I'll play no matter what, you know, over every chord, because that, I don't know, it tends to get kind of old or a little bit stale and doesn't sound like it actually fits with the song, or fits with the structure of the song. You know, it may not be the same melody as Big Sciota. Like none of those licks really sounded like Big Sciota, but it sounded like I was following the chord structure for Big Sciota, which I think is basically what you're doing as an improviser. You're trying to take the information of the structure of the song and find licks and melodies that work with that structure. So that's just one of many, though, that you can play out of this chop chord shape. Like, I'd encourage you just like mess around. There's like a something like that, right? That would be a really easy one that's still centered around that G major chop chord here, right? And we're messing with like this slide from the 1st fret to the 2nd fret. It's like a B flat to a B, or like a flat third to a normal third of a major chord. That's what makes it sound kind of bluesy, I guess. just like we did for that first lick. We were messing around with that B flat. So that might be kind of a fun thing to play around with too. You could play that over, you know, the C chord or some version of it, and over the D chord. And then same idea like for your B chords again, you know, just to show you how you can take this same concept to any key you want to, as long as you know the chord shapes that go along with the chord progression, and you know what key you're in and what chords are happening when and where. You know, you can do this same licks over these chords. Pretty easy, right? It's not too bad. And I don't know, like the more you listen to bluegrass mandolin players in general, you can kind of catch on to the lingo of what's going on. It's like you're kind of getting a backstage pass to see like, oh, all this bluegrass vocabulary kind of makes sense now. Yeah, there's like there's not a whole lot going on. It's just mostly these shapes that we, I don't know, use to our advantage. So those are a couple licks that, you know, you can mess around with, and I find myself just kind of noodling over these shapes all the time. Like let's see. Like all those are, you know, pretty. I don't know. They're not original, but they're fun, and they sound good in a certain setting. Like if you're going for a more angular bluegrass sound. So mess around with that chop chord shape and see what you can come up with. We should do a video on those licks at some point and how to use them, and you know, how to explore that idea a bit more. But hopefully that's enough to get you started. Yeah, and just catching up with some chat here. Apologies, I was offline for the chat for a little bit. Let's see, Heidi saying, this week was my 5th mandolin lesson. I'm still a little rusty. Strumming part I have a hard time with, and trying to remember which notes are the open and close, and some are the same. Yeah. Well, welcome to your journey with the mandolin, Heidi. That's so cool. 5 mandolin lessons in, and that's awesome. You know, that's no small thing, because I feel like most people, you know, kind of stop after 1 or 2. You know, and if you can keep that momentum going, there's like no telling what you can do with the mandolin. And I know like strumming is hard, and the chord shapes are a little bit difficult at first, but I can tell you for certainty, like these shapes are going to become so familiar with that you won't even have to think about them. You'll be able to play them in your sleep eventually. And I would just say, like, try to get a sense for the spacing of the strings with your left hand. That way you kind of know what strings you need to leave open without even thinking about it quite as much. And a way of illustrating is just thinking about like your G major chord, for instance. It's trying to know automatically, okay, like I know my index finger has to be on the A string. It's the second one from the bottom, if you're thinking about it, you know, in directional terms. So, you know, I just have to like make sure I'm always placing my index finger on the A string. And I would just do a bunch of this, you know, like see if you can sit in front of the TV with your mandolin, practice making that motion from your index away from the fretboard down to the 2nd fret of your A string. You know, not the 2nd fret of your D string, not the 2nd fret of your E string, but the 2nd fret of your A string. And then do the same thing with your middle finger, right? Think, okay, the only other string I have to hold down is my E string. It's the one closest to the floor. I want to make sure I'm on the 3rd fret. Just practice that motion. Open to 3rd fret, open to 3rd fret. And then try them both together. Like, see what it's like to play both fingers down at the same time, because that's eventually what you want to do in order to be able to change chords fast enough when you're keeping that strum pattern going. And then eventually you're going to get a sense for where all the strings are by doing similar things with other shapes. Like with your D chord, you know, get a sense for where that G string is with your index finger. 2nd fret on the G, up and down, up and down. And then your middle finger is going to be 2nd fret on the E string. What does that feel like? Okay, and then try it together. And then, you know, you get the idea. But you're just building up that muscle memory and that kinetic energy that you need to do these things without thinking about them. And I think it's totally cool, like, to think about them really, really, really hard right now, so that eventually you won't have to think about them ever again. And I know that's going to happen for you, Heidi. Just keep up the good work. You know, even in a few weeks' time, I think you'll see a lot of progress in this area. You know, if you can keep up that consistent practice and keep taking these lessons. So I'm excited for you. And Jimmy says, enjoy listening to your videos. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Really appreciate it. Hopefully a lot more coming to you soon. And Mark Cameron says, thanks for all the lessons, David. Your Patreon site has helped me greatly. I was wondering if you could give some tips, advice about playing in time. I really struggle with drifting away from the beat. Yeah, That's a great question, Mark. And hey, thanks so much for joining us over on Patreon. I really appreciate the support, and I'm glad that you're enjoying the lessons and the content. As far as like drifting away from the beat, I struggle with that too. I don't know. It's like it's something I don't know. It's a hard thing to practice, I should say. It's something that's so important though, because like the beat is probably the most essential part of any music, because even if you're uneducated about music theory or you don't know anything about how to play an instrument, you kind of have this intuitive sense of where the beat is, and you can tap your foot along with the music, or you can dance, or you can do all these things that are so tied to the rhythm of the music. So I often say like it's more important to play in time than to play the right notes, because if you play the wrong notes, so to speak, of a song. Like if I play the wrong notes of Big Sciota, but I play them in time, it could sound kind of interesting in the long run. Like I could do something like this. It doesn't sound great, but it sounds like I'm still playing Big Sciota. Whereas if I play the right notes and I play it out of time for the same tune, there's no context for what's actually happening in the song. So that's why it's so important to stay in time. And I'm sure there's better illustrations than that. But as far as how to practice it, how to keep going, I think the metronome is going to be your best friend. Obviously, I have a bunch of metronome apps on my phone, which I actually don't have with me, so I won't be able to illustrate how to use that. But go download a free metronome app and practice just playing right on that beat. But I find even better than playing with a metronome is playing with those backing tracks that we have over on Patreon. Hopefully you've already taken advantage of those. But what I like about backing tracks is that it gives you the context for where the chords are in the song, or where you should be in the song, so to speak. Because that's the hardest thing about timing, right? Like if you're operating on a different time frame than other people that you're playing with, then you won't be lining up and you won't be able to make music together. That's, I think, the most important thing about time too, is that basically by playing in a jam or playing in a band, you're all kind of contractually agreeing that time flows at a certain rate. I never thought about it like that before, but it's the idea that everyone is trying to feel the beat at the exact same spot in order for people to be able to cooperate together and make music that's bigger than just one individual part. So when you're playing along with the backing track, it's the closest thing you can do to actually playing with other people. In some ways it's better because it's an isolated, controlled situation where you can slow things down if you want to, or speed things up with an amazing slowdowner, or you can repeat certain sections or start over when you need to really make sure you're getting things done. So yeah, the amazing slowdowner is a really invaluable tool if you don't have it. It's $15 on the iTunes store. You can get it on your smartphone, import MP3s, or even stream songs from Spotify or iTunes and be able to manipulate the time of that track without changing the pitch, so you can play along with it in the same key. So take one of those backing tracks, and if you need to, slow it down just like really, really way down, and try to play along so that you're playing the exact notes right where the chord changes are. Or practice playing accompaniment, play rhythm, strumming along with those to see what that's like. Because there's no better way of getting better than playing with other people. It's a terrible way to put it, but playing with others is one of the most surefire ways to improve your sense of timing, because you're all of a sudden kind of more aware of yourself and how you're interacting with other people, rather than when you just practice on your own, you're kind of free to let your old habits kind of take over and fluctuate in time again. So check out those backing tracks. I hope that's helpful. There's a couple more here. So and Lucy's, thanks for clarifying. We started here today at 10:30. Apologies for the early start. I've actually got a commitment I've got to get to a little bit later here, so I'll be wrapping up here in about 20 minutes or so. But I'm so glad we could still have this stream going, and I appreciate all you guys tuning in. And maybe this would be a good time just to talk about all the big changes that have been going on in my life recently. I don't know if you guys have been following along, but last weekend we made the announcement that I will no longer be playing with the band I've been playing with for the past 5 years, Mile 12, and it was a tough decision. It was really hard, and it was kind of like a long process of deciding it. But ever since we started touring again since the pandemic, it just kind of quickly became apparent to me that I was in a different chapter in life, and I needed to kind of sort some things out in order to make things viable. Or in other words, just being away from Tabitha on the road, and after all the things that we went through in the pandemic, being over in Northern Ireland for about 6 months, uncertain about where we'd end up, or the green card immigration process. That was all just kind of so stressful, so scary, and so uncertain. And then moving across the Atlantic Ocean, Tabitha kind of getting acclimated here in the U.S., and then finding our home here in Traveler's Rest, getting our puppy Finn. There was just so many changes, and going back to touring, I just found it really, I don't know, it was pretty stressful, honestly, just being away from it all, and all the kind of craziness of post-pandemic touring and how things have changed and the risks involved, a lot of close COVID scares, and thankfully, all through it all. But I don't know, it just seemed apparent like it was time for me to move on and do something different. And I have a really big sense of relief about it. It's really bittersweet because I love those folks in Mile 12 so much, and have so many fond memories playing in the band and making music together and seeing all sorts of crazy places around the world. And we got to go to Japan. We were in Australia, New Zealand together, France, Canada, Ireland, England, all sorts of places. And I'm so thankful for it all. I'm so thankful that we're still friends through it all too. It was a very amicable parting of ways, I should say. And I'm sure we'll still be making music in different capacities in the future with all the folks in that band. And I'm so happy that they're going to continue on. They've got a great mandolin player taking my spot. I'm so excited to hear him play with the band. I'm stoked to see what he's going to do with all the songs and all the music that they're playing together. A guy named Corey Brodsky, he's a Berkeley grad, lives up in New England, and it's going to be great. Hopefully you guys will go see him. And I'm so sorry to not be on some of the gigs this fall that some of you guys were planning to come to, but hopefully we'll be able to meet up in different capacities. With all the free time now that I'm gonna have from being off the road, I'm really excited to be focusing on other things. I'm kind of doubling the efforts here on the YouTube channel. I've got some big ideas for some new videos coming to you guys soon, and also just working on stuff with Tabitha. We've been working up a whole batch of new music for our band, the Foreign Landers, and we have a new record that's in the works that we're hoping to share with you guys in the next few months here, and lots of shows coming up with our duo as well, mostly around the Southeast, but expanding throughout the contiguous states here, hopefully in the next year or so as things kind of open back up even more. So we'll hopefully run into you guys and see you at other capacities too. At this modern mandolin workshop that's going on in November. Again, if you guys want to join, it's going to be an awesome time. Just wanted to plug that one more time. If anyone hasn't signed up yet, you can still get the early bird 15% discount with a promo code. It's my last name, Benedict, capital B, and then the numbers 15, Benedict 15. If you guys want to sign up. And I think it's just like modernmandolin.org. You can find out more info there and enroll on their website. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. But I just wanted to say, through all this, I really appreciate all the support that you guys have, offered, all the kind words I've heard from folks, and it's just like it's been so. I don't know. It feels like a big shift and a big change, but it's just been so. Encouraging at the same time, so I'm really thankful for that. But yeah, and thanks for your kind words here too. Gwen's asking about Tabitha. Tabitha's from Northern Ireland. She's a UK citizen, and she got a green card. I guess it was like in August last year. So it's coming up on a little over a year that we've been here in the States, and it's just been a good time. I'm so thankful it's all kind of sorted out. It was such a stressful experience, kind of getting it all sorted with all the delays of COVID and craziness. So it's been a long time coming, but we're so happy to be here together. But anyways, I'm getting too soppy here. We gotta actually play some music. So how about we come back over to Tune Time and check some stuff out? All right. Well, let's see, what could we pick together? Maybe something fast, something fun to kind of get our mandolin picking going again here. What about? Oops, let's see. There's Done Gone. We could do that one. That one's kind of hard though. I don't know. I need to practice that one again probably. Let's see. What about? What about 9-Pound Hammer? That could be kind of fun. We looked at this in a couple different keys over on the Patreon site. I won't trouble you guys with my singing, but maybe we could play this. Just instrumentally. You guys can play this arrangement if you want to, this solo arrangement, or play a version of the melody that you know, or take a spin on the chord changes and try something new. Maybe we could do it here in A and just go back and forth a few times. So if you guys don't know this one, it's a classic. I think I forget who's famous for bringing this into the public. Is it Merle Travis? Maybe I'm making that up. But in the bluegrass world, kind of the quintessential version of this one is from the bluegrass album. Oh, sorry, no, it's from Tony Rice on that record, Manzanita. How could I mess that up? That's crazy. That record is such a watershed album, and this solo kind of copies some of the things that the fiddle player did on that track. I think it may have been Sam Bush playing fiddle on that one. But anyways, maybe we could try this one out together. We just have 3 chords, A, D, and E. You can use those chop chord shapes if you want to. It'd be a good opportunity to practice those. Or just use those open chords if you want to as well. So, let me see if I can actually play this arrangement of it. Maybe we could try it around this tempo. A 1, 2, 3. Turn again. All right. Your turn again. All right, let's try this together. Nice work, folks. That was pretty fast. I hope that was a good challenge, just kind of keeping up with the tempo like that. And there's a lot of licks in there too. Hopefully you guys are hearing those, especially towards the end. The one that's written out there is definitely tied to that bluegrass chop chord shape like we were talking about earlier. So check that one out. Again, the transcriptions for all these tunes are over on Patreon if you want a physical copy, or a digital copy rather, and you want to dig into some of these ideas. Also, there's a lesson for this one over on the YouTube channel too. Let's see. While we're here, let's play one more too. What if we just kind of bring it down a little bit more? How about we play... Oh, we've been meaning to do this one actually. We just looked at this one over on the beginner series. I believe this was maybe part 14 or 15. We looked at this one here. Shove the Pig's Foot Further in the Fire. It's one of my favorite tunes. It's been kind of like the theme song for the beginner series that we've been looking at over the past few months. Again, shout out to all the folks who have picked up the Beginner Series Handbook and have been digging through those 17 lessons. So excited to have those all out there and all public. Check them out on the YouTube channel if you want. There's a playlist, I think, on my on the cover of my YouTube channel, so check that out if you haven't already. But this is a tough tune actually for a beginner series. There's a lot of syncopated rhythms, a lot of kind of weird things going on in the rhythm of the tune. Even just like that tie that happens over the bar line at the beginning there, something that's a little bit different. But you can check out the pick directions in the middle here between the tablature and the sheet music, and check out those hammer-ons and the weird things going on with the emphasis of the tune as well. Here, let me just play it for you so we can get it in our ears. We can try it together here to close this out. Something like that. The chords are pretty simple, it's just G, C, and D, like we looked at earlier in Big Sayota. And we'll maybe try it together here. Maybe about that tempo. Just keep it nice and chill. Let's try this. So. Your turn. Alright, my turn. Your turn again. Let's try this together. work. Shove the pig's foot. I hope you guys are enjoying that one. Let's come over here and catch up here. Oh yeah, so Heidi's asking about tone guards. I've got one here on my mandolin, this big wire cage on the back, and really like them a lot. I know you can find these on a few different websites too. They may not be available on Amazon, but you can get them on elderlyinstruments.com. They're a great place in Michigan. I heard you guys talk about Michigan. That's so awesome. Love that state. And it's a great state for mandolins too. And then also you can get them from the Banjo Bin website. I believe they ship anywhere in the States, maybe even ship internationally. I'm not sure, but those are great spots to check out to get one of these. Yeah, they're well worth the cost too. I know they seem a little bit kind of crazy expensive at first, but I really dig them a lot. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, but thank you guys for tuning in. Feel free to check out the beginning of the stream. If you missed earlier, you can go back and just wind back the clock here on YouTube and check it out. And also, if you want access to all the past live streams, if you can't be here in person for all of them, they're all available over on the Patreon page as always. I think there's like maybe 40 something live streams over there that you have access to. So lots of content, lots of me rambling, and lots of opportunities to try out some of these tunes that we've been working on together. So I hope this is something that's valuable for you guys. I hope it's something that you're enjoying. Again, thank you so much for all the support over on Patreon. We'll be back next week on our regular time for Mandolin Mornings, 11 o'clock Eastern in the mornings. Over, I think we'll be hitting pretty much every Saturday this fall if all things go to plan. And I'm excited to be more in a regular swing with you guys now that my schedule's cleared up a bit more. And yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe here to the channel. There's lots more videos coming soon. Until then, I'll see you guys soon.